Hey everyone, welcome to Terrafirma Greg. This is a old alpha version of my completion of Terrafirma Greg. This was version 7.19 in beta. I just want to walk through, like, off the top of my head, like everything I've done to get here. I believe I've spent over 2,000 hours getting to the end. Let's see if I can find stats. I thought there was an FTB leaderboard. Hold on a minute. Statistics. 58 days, 55.55. Okay, so this world has a recorded 1,500 hours of playtime, but I think I took a bit longer than that. I'm pretty sure I took 2,000, um, but I guess it's a nice feeling that mod pack's telling me I did it quicker. So let's just go through all my progression, right from the primitive age up until ultimate voltage. I've got a lot to go over. Computer craft is a part of this, and like, yeah, let's go from ULV to UV, shall we? Let's see where we should start. Let's start with the prim age. All this crop is completely rotten, but this was a lot like vanilla, but there was a twist. When you want to grow crops in Terrafirma Craft, you have a lot of extra mechanics happening. One is this. One of those mechanics is the season. As you can see, it's winter, and I'm pretty sure wheat does not grow in the winter, so it's completely, or the barley, it's completely rotten. So, for winter, you'd want to grow potatoes, for example, and they all have beehives with top tier genetics and honey you can harvest. But the whole point of the bees is to ensure that the crops are pollinated all year round, so that these statistics for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are always as high percentage as possible. So the crops always get the right nutrition. They do need watering, and unfortunately, in this version of Terraformacraft, we have no way to automate the watering. So I came up with a solution: the greenhouse. The greenhouse is a multi-block with a control block somewhere tucked in the corner here. There it is, the climate station. And it basically just ensures no crops just don't die in here. And I've been using this place to keep myself fed. I just harvest vegetables, put them in my inventory, and let the nanosuit just auto-consume. And it keeps my hunger just about topped up. And as you can see, my health isn't amazing. I'm only 6 hearts out of 10 of base HP, but I kind of at some point stopped caring about my overall health in this game, as mobs don't spawn in this mod pack. When I say mobs don't spawn, I mean like mobs don't spawn on the surface on dirt blocks. They have to be in cave blocks only in the dark. So generally on the surface, you're kind of fine starting out in this mod. Now this is a very modern Terrafirma Craft fork. It's not like the old Terrafirma Craft. But I'm sure you get behind the idea, like, no real, you know, threat to my well-being building around here. Um, this is my bee suit. So if I was to just put this on, I am a beekeeper. So this just means I don't take damage while holding honeycomb when changing the bee genetics around. Now, when I say bee genetics, I just mean selective breeding. So I just had a little apiary build here just to select each gene I wanted to combine, which I believe was, I mean, I don't even remember anymore, but there were like 3 specific genes I wanted, mainly crop, pollination, and resistance to cold climate. so that when it's cold, the bees still come out. So let's speed things up a little bit. This was supposed to be like a cookhouse. It never really finished. There was supposed to be a Create windmill here, and in case you didn't know, Create is part of Terrafirma Greg. And I was gonna have a windmill, but I kind of like fell back on this idea simply because I kind of got bored with all this cooking. So the only thing that's interesting in here is the alcohol I've been brewing, which goes into my flask. Alcohol is a really nice drink. So when I have it, rum gives me speed too. So it was really handy for survival to have basically a canteen that not only handles your thirst entirely the time, but it also just gives you buffs to roam around and get stuff done. And I believe there's buffs for haste, speed. Haste was great, of course, because you're mining, Greg. Absorption 2 is really good because in the early game there was a lot of poisonous ores I had to carry around without protection. And this is my cellar, and everything is moldy. Yum. Not much to say here. This is just where you put food to keep it fresh for longer. Food has an expiration date, so as you can see, these veggies, they have about a couple of hours at a time. And if you want to extend the shelf life, you just shove them in there. Also, if you want to bake bread, I would get the peel out here, make some dough, use a vat, grill, all kinds of I won't really talk much about it. I don't think food crafting is that interesting in a tech mod pack, but you know, if you want to know more about this, just search up a tutorial on Firma Life add-on for Terrafirma Craft. That's where all this comes from. I will mention though, the vat was actually part of Greg Tech Progression because you couldn't make rubber in the primitive age. Since Steam comes after the primitive age, you had to find ways of getting circuit components for your Steam machines. When I say circuits, I just mean your vacuum tubes. So the vacuum tube progression needed the vat here to make some rubber components. So let's talk about the actual progression of primitive age. Primitive age is split into essentially just two main branches. The main branch is metallurgy, which just describes how, in standard Greg Tech progression, you go from clay to firebrick to iron and to steel, or bronze to iron to steel. But in Terrafirma Craft, the metallurgy system is integrated with the Greg Tech metallurgy. So essentially that just means we start with copper, bronze, iron age, steel age, and then you get to the colored steels. If you want to learn more about this, I would honestly just look up Vintage Story, which is a completely separate video game. Vintage Story takes this game design and puts it in an entirely new video game, and I think it would do more justice to get you towards playing Vintage Story than me waffling about this. But there's one thing I do want to show about the metallurgy, is some of the multi-blocks that you make in Terrafirma Craft. If I can just get my headset in. There we go. So, I guess here we have the bloomery. Iron goes in, charcoal goes in, flint and steel, and it cooks for about 10 minutes. And you get iron blooms, and then you bring the iron blooms into my crumbling cottage. And there was a forge here. I've got all my anvils here. You do a little mini game to hit the metal and get your ingots out. And taking this to the extreme, you need to go through all this alloying process to get the best steel in the game, which is the blue steel and the red steel. Now, why do you need blue and red steel? Well, blue and red steel makes a bucket, a plain vanilla bucket, and unfortunately that means, you guessed it, you can't move water or lava around until you get to the end of the progression of this mod. And the reason why you need water and lava is to start your steam power. I can't quite remember like how that all went down, but I remember I needed it very badly. There's also like other crafts like looming, and I suppose this enchanting table existed, but I didn't really use it. It wasn't very good. And this was a place to blow glass with sand, and this was a casting table for glass panes. So let's head into the next area of my progression. This was a sifting area for sand and gravel to get some rare ores like silver, since silver was quite annoying to get in the early game. I've got my horse there still. So this is my steam machinery room. I had a lot of crates here. You can see my old black steel armor. Good times. And just a bunch of, well, lost equipment and rare metal. And this is where I started to kind of ramp up in progression. And I started mining ores for like properly with the pickaxe. And this is where I got to close to the Steam Age here. So in the Steam Age in Greg Tech, Terrafirma Greg, you need to go through a intermediary mod progression called Create. Now Create is a very popular mod. I don't want to talk much about Create. It's quite, in my opinion, a very generic automation mod, but it's very, very versatile for being an automation mod. But all you need to know with Create is you create kinetic stress units, and stress units are a currency of power, and everything in Create just wants kinetic stress. And this kinetic stress here was used to generate a pump. Yes, so in Create, pumping water into your Greg machines was a sort of purpose for Create as a mod existing in the first place, as primitive water pumps were disabled. See, no primitive water pump. So a primitive water pump would be like just a multi-block for Greg, but now Create says, nah fam, you gotta like basically get a bucket, get water sources and lava sources, and start pumping your own fluids into your Greg machines. And you can see the very basic Greg processing. I'm not going to talk much about this. We'll talk more about it later progression. And I've taken some photos of my base. I think it's cool. This photo is particularly important. This is how the base looked a bit older. The ore processing is this massive smokestack in the background. We'll look at that later. So going upstairs, one more photo I suppose, but not that interesting. Oh, actually, let me show you my animal husbandry before we enter low voltage. Just heard my animals calling in the background. This is my barn. So I have ducks for eggs, made better food for a bit, horses, and I needed a lot of wool and a lot of leather. So I've been breeding goats and sheep this whole time, and some extra chickens here. Not much else to say here, but I think it's cool. I made a little cute hole in the ground. And by the way, like, mining in Terrafirma Greg is very tedious, because Terrafirma Craft has a collapsing mechanic with cave structures, so digging holes isn't as simple as just tunneling a 1x2 hole into the wall. You actually need to place a lot of support beams to keep the foundations standing upright. And I can kind of prove it here by showing these beams. These support beams, if they were to be broken, this ceiling wouldn't fall down, but it basically means I can't actually mine another natural stone block deep into the wall, or you're going to cause a cascade of collapse. I don't want to show what happens when that but I have a VOD maybe on my YouTube channel, like showing the early stages of my gameplay, just describing more about that. What should we look at next? There's a lot to go through here. Let's, I guess, talk about... I guess I'm going to have to jump ahead a bit. Let's start with the ore processing. I think that's the best place to start. So ore processing here has a lot of extra support from Create. I have been using shipping containers as storage boxes to keep all of my ores stored neatly, and a bit of AE2 integration. I won't talk too much about it, but essentially all these are super chests, which are basically just chests, but they can hold like hundreds and thousands of items in one storage slot. And I've basically created a storage for every single type of dust I could possibly want for my GT progression. My ores are processed in the smokestack factory area. So inside here we have a basic GT kind of ore processing setup. All these are single blocks, no multi-blocks. Ore processing in GregTech. Let's pick an ore. Let's pick iron ore. Iron ore goes through multiple steps: maceration, washing, bathing, centrifuging, thermal centrifuging, as well as, well, that's basically it. I mean, electrolysis might come last if you want to break one dust into 2 extra products. There's, I'd say, 3 different ways of going about it. You can wash ores in either water, chlorine, or mercury, I think. I don't fully remember, it's been over a year, guys. But this was my primitive ore setup, and it's using, as you can see, LV wiring, and I've just over time upgraded these machines. And the interesting part is that in GregTech, ore processing, even in higher tiers, only uses so much electricity. This means that higher tier machines can still be using lower tier power, and that's how I've managed to kind of use these IV tier macerators, as they only use 8 EU per tick, and since these combine into, I can see, no, I'm wrong, you can see exactly all the numbers here. See, I can't even remember what I'm talking about. So I've basically planned all these amps through a 16x phosphide wire, which I think is half a stack of amps. From here on out, things are going to get a little bit hazy, and I'm going to be jumping all over the place with progression. So let's talk about how I'm powering this. Powering ore processing at the start of my, near the middle of my playthrough. I've got multi-block turbines boiling water. Now these steam boilers are pretty redundant in the mid to late game. This is only steel, as you can see, but it's a very cheap way of making power. Everything here is custom made using framed blocks. I put a lot of effort into this. Try to make it look as authentic as possible. And here is a combustion engine. This is running off of some very high tier energy. I'd rather not touch anything right now, as I have no clue what's going to happen if I just start turning things on. I don't think this power is even needed, because all my main power is being placed in my Blue Lock factory tower. It's a bit of a, I think I called it Greg Lock. I was a bit of a Blue Lock fan a couple of years ago. So yeah, here is gems. We follow a maceration, washing, and sifting, and then centrifuging anything that's kind of wasteful. I'll show what's happening behind here at the back. This is Platline. So Platline is probably one of the most complex chains in GregTech. Platline begins towards extreme voltage around this part of the game, and Platline is a very grindy process of getting a lot of rare ores. I don't remember the ore names of these ores, but if you want to find ores in GT, you just basically click this and you find the ores that you need to get your Platline. I can't remember which ones are Platline. I'm pretty sure tetrahedrite is sort of source of Platline. I might be wrong. It's been so long. But you need to find the platline ores here, and platline takes a lot of work to separate. So in this setup, we are grinding for these byproducts. Cadmium, neodymium, cerium, yttrium, lanthanum, samarium, and rare earth. And I'm very excited to talk more about GT, AE2 management. AE2 has been very challenging for this pack. I can't wait to talk about it. This is one of the late game plastics. Let's see if I can say the name. Polybenzimidazole. That's one of the final sort of like plastic products you can make. And this is my ABS. ABS stands for Alloy Blast Smelter. This is one of the like Gregicality multi-blocks imported into GTC EU, Greg Tech Community Edition for the latest version of the game. I am on 1.21, I'm pretty sure, for this mod. This just makes all the unique alloys needed for IV multi-blocks, which basically means when you get to insane voltage, all of your multi-blocks overtake your single machines. So it's kind of chronological in a way. You've got your single machine ore processing, and then when this thing comes in, each one of these singles machines become a multi-block version with incredible performance. This is my liquid O2 generation, processing. I've got a bit of a weird chain going on here because some of this is coming from the other side of the base. This is my first substation. Substations are just batteries, but multi-block batteries, battery store power. I've got some nice little create elevators here. And this is my first assembly line. This was crafted in ludicrous voltage, and I basically made a lot of like, well, you can see here, ZPM parts, LUV parts. The assembly line is a multi-block of an assembler, which is a single block machine. This is some early combustion power. I've just got some engine stacks here. I like to just spam a lot of these machines and keep stuff working independently and not interdependently. That's sort of a philosophy I like to follow when I'm expanding on GT progression. And, you know, I don't mean to sound like I'm pathetic, but, you know, I've never beaten Greg Tech New Horizons. So all of this feels good practice if I want to do a serious run of GTNH. I always thought to myself, I kind of want to play GTNH when I've got no job. But I'm currently using all my free time at the moment to play Nuclear Tech Mod, James's Space Fork, and I can't wait to, you know, finish that first. I'm kind of close to the mid-game. I'm just starting the mid-game in Nuclear Tech Mod, and I'll make more videos on that later. I've already uploaded a few videos on like early game power if you want to have a look, and just some shenanigans. So now here, this is my first AE2 setup. Now when you hit AE2 in high voltage, which is gated normally in Greg Tech, Nomi Factory is a bit of an exception, you get like patterns, and patterns, this is kind of discontinued mostly, but essentially you just store crafting recipes into these machines and you can automate a lot of part production. And then here, this is a funny story. So the reason why there's chutes here from Create is because there's a bug, like a very annoying tag bug when you're producing blue steel. Let's see if I can get some made. If I want to craft that's a blue alloy. Okay. So if I want to make blue steel, see if this thing works. Should make it here. It might be actually in the other place. Let's see. It's already smelting it. Oh. Okay. I'm not doing it here anymore. But there was a very annoying bug while integrating blue steel for both GregTech and Terrafirma Craft. And that was that there was a tag misalignment when you're crafting blue steel, because I think the two mods don't understand if there's heat data. Because blue steel is normally got heat data because blue steel is alloyed in a forge. But when GregTech makes blue steel, there's no heat data in GregTech. So because of that misalignment in tags where ingot is heated or not, I had to use these chutes to push ingots into the air in real time to get the tag taken away, to basically let Terrafirma Craft know this is a blue steel ingot and it's not hot. It's completely cool because it just came out of a Greg Tech machine. And yeah, that was a fix I had to make. Here we just got like, I guess, more LCR nonsense here. I think this was my Enderpearl and Toluene crafts. I really don't want to think about that. I think that was one of the most. I think Toluene is one of the most annoying things to make in GT. I just don't like it. It's a sugar. It's got like sugar. There's different ways of doing it, but I just don't seem to like it. And then this is just a multi-smelter. This thing is. I love this multi-block. Multi-smelters are amazing. It's just a parallel furnace from vanilla, essentially. And let's move around a bit more. So that's just a basic machine stack. This is my EBF, smelting some of my high demand sort of metals. I like when I build EBFs, I never really spammed EBFs very much, and I think that was a mistake I've made trying to beat this mod. I always stuck with no more than 3 for a very long time. So because of that, I sort of shoehorned myself into this setup where if I want any metal for a long time, I'll just put them in here. We've got like our piss coils here from the alloy blast smelter. And then here we've got some extra useful things like string. And then here's my first clean room, and all my singles go here for clean room crafting. Clean room crafts are just another requirement for circuitry in the late game or the mid game. And then here I've got an A2 basically moving 4 amps of LUV over here because there is no LUV power generation around here, to just make some very high tier chemicals in here. And then this is what I think made A2 the most bearable, is requesters. Requesters are amazing because here's trinium. Oh, it can't make trinium. So basically what requesters do, it probably causes a lot of tick lag, but requesters are really good at just giving top-ups to crafts that you know you're always going to need. So anything that's lit up here is basically saying, I'm trying to make something here, and there's just stuff that just can't be made at the moment, and I probably ignored it. Here, this is fusion requesting, and I don't really need to access this. I can just go here and do it. Let's see, terminal. Maybe not actually. I remember seeing this in a terminal. Anyway, here's all my building blocks. I love building. I couldn't do any of this building without a stone farm going on, and I'll show you that. Little secret area here. There's some rock types I didn't get. So this place is kind of interesting. This is a crate only setup, and it seems to have completely halted. I think I did that on purpose because I just didn't need any more rocks generated. My mouse died. It's gonna be a bit weird. So this was basically just your equivalent of a vanilla cobblestone generator. Instead of using crate to make the cobble, there's a rock breaker in Greg Tech that just does it easy. And then these assemblers just turn these cobble rocks into bricks from Terrafirma Craft. And these bricks were really good because, well, they were blocks that didn't have any gravity involved, so you just couldn't collapse anything brick made from Terrafirma Craft. I'm going to have trouble moving my mouse around. So here's my beacon. Nether Stars came around Ivy, I think, for some of the better parts. Here's my first EBF stack actually, and I've got my large bronze boiler here. This was in Envy I made this, and I just never really swapped it out, and I'm kind of proud with the way I handled this. I spent more time making the roof, to be fair. Here is silicon, kind of just being printed. Silicon is just coming out of a rock breaker, and then it just gets hammered into silicon. Yeah, not much else to say. And then we have here aluminium. and steel coming here, just being printed casually. I think these EBFs just don't turn on unless I'm about to run out of steel, but I think I've got over 1 million in there. So, what else? Distillation. Yeah, this is where we get into like MV-ish tech. Pyro oven is going on here. I've kind of covered it all up with covers because I wasn't proud of the piping going on here. So this is my benzene production. These are pyro ovens, and this benzene's been distillated, and that's why I wanted toluene from doing that. I've got an actual interesting program here. I wonder if I can do this. Let's see if I can fix this, because I would love to show you this. This was one of my first computer craft programs, and it wasn't doing anything crazy, but I just wanted to prove that I could program Greg Tech machines to perform certain functions. So let's see, manage rotor dial. So this should be measuring the energy in that rotor. If I reboot this, it's not coming up. Okay, well I'm not going to debug this in front of you in real time, but this would just tell me like the rotor health as well as the amount of power being made. It was really cool. I was planning to use this as like a energy dashboard thing, but I kind of got bored with it. Crafting storage is here. This is my maribolite and iron farm, so rocks can turn into metal dust, and it was quite OP in this mod pack, and the mod pack developers have completely nerfed this. Up here we have nitrobenzene extended up here, as well as glue and rubber just being automated. It's all just MV stuff, and a lot of emitter stuff going on here as well, back when I didn't have requesters. This is my titanium loop. You know the loop, rutile dust, back freeze at the end because it needs cooling. This is my hog crafting. So epoxy is my hog. Here's my other stuff, styrene, butadiene, rubber. I needed all these chemicals, and I was just thinking, just make as much of it as you can. Gas turbines here. These don't really... This place isn't very operational at the moment, mainly because... well, I think I'm just not using any of the hog, so this place is kind of calm. I wouldn't be able to fix this if it went wrong. I just hope it's actually running as intended. Half of this stuff I've already forgotten how it works, by the way. So, up here is the main base. You know, I kind of decided one day, like, I just want to make a big ass, like, cyberpunk, Arasaka looking tower. And I decided to call this building the Greglock building. And I just want to, this is my magnum opus. I just want to show you this. I'm so excited. I love this. Living in the snow wasn't very nice, I've got to say that. Building was a bit of a challenge in the snow. Let's go fly up here. Okay. That big thing in the middle, I can kind of show you this, I guess. It's not that interesting, but I've got framed blocks being auto-crafted here in Create. Frame blocks are amazing for just builds. And we also got a tree farm spinning in here. Now this is why I've got like 30 FPS. It's actually turned off, surprisingly. Yeah, but that thing would be spinning, and that thing caused so much lag in my world. So I'm glad it's off. I'm not a fan of Create. in terms of lag. It's nasty. So here is my like end game base. It's actually surprisingly empty, and I thought I'd be building a lot of stuff here. But I've made this thing big, and it's quite spacious. So this is where things get really difficult to explain. So starting off, I've got active transformer grid. So active transformers are multis that just let you distribute power regardless of voltage tier. So you have unlimited throughput in amperage as well. So here you got, I'm trying to see if I can get to the, it's hard to, yeah, this dynamo hatch isn't quite it. Yeah, so look how many amps that's carrying. That's 4,000 amps of LUV. Even in UV, that's like hundreds of amps. So it's really nice to have like so much free power transmission, all centralized. It's quite optional though. So this is where I start wetware circuits. Greenhouses are custom multis in this mod pack that kind of solve the bottleneck problem with getting a lot of what is this thing making actually? Can't remember, but I needed it for biochaff and biomass, and the biomass combined with fish from the fisher. This is just a way to get fish, and you got yourselves a sterile clean room making wetware components. I've got a lot of singles here because the multi-block brewery I don't think could do these endgame recipes. I can't remember why. Like, I really wanted to do multi-breweries, but something kind of stopped me from doing it. I could try to show you here. Yeah. I wanted to build this thing, but I don't think it lets me do wetware. I can't remember, guys. I couldn't do wetware with it. And then these are some of the starting Ivy multis. So this is just a mixer multi. This is a autoclave multi. And this is one of the centrifuge multis floating on the ceiling. Yeah, very useful. So this is my AE2 library. Not many drives at all because there's mega cells in this mod. So you can have some very crazy storage. You can have 4 million storage. It's kind of stupid. And I just made like even 256k is plenty. And then I've got like one of those mega cells here. These are all 1Ks. I made them 1Ks on purpose because I just wanted to make it look a little bit more real. But then I just gave up halfway through. This is my controller. A lot of people are sick of looking at these things. I think this was my first time building one. This is one of those maximum channel controllers, and it's got a bit of like buffer storage just to keep it turned on with these super dense cells. And then entirely like wireless system here. This needed a separate secondary controller, funny enough, just to keep the channels moved from wired to wireless outside this controller. And every single face is packing a P2P bus of about like 256 channels, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, lots of channels. I think in total, I mean, can I check? No, that's not how I check. I can't remember how I check, boys, but if I remember correctly, I think I'm using around 2,000 channels. This thing does way more than that. I don't like. I barely have used it, and these are all the memory cards that I can use to just set up a new endpoint connection and just get a whole new batch of channels. So this just basically means unlimited AE2. So if I go this way, this is a really cool project I was doing. This is called like spatial storage, but I went further beyond with spatial storage. This is a quantum ring. This just allows infinite signal signal, like infinite, like cross-dimensional signals as well. But there was only the overworld playing this mod pack in beta. In the newer versions, they've added space. I'm not sure if I want to press this button. Where's my miner at? Maybe I can find out. It might be in one of these force-loaded chunks. Maybe I don't press it. But I've got like a Greg Pocket here, and I have a program to like pack up the miner that's teleported across the map, and then I think I just press this button here once it appears back here. But what should be here is a shared miner, like quad shared miner, and it was really useful to just stop building miners and just teleport them on top of ore veins. I should have a video on YouTube like showing you a test run of this. It's really cool stuff, like really, really cool stuff. Teleporting miners made this mod pack so much more fun to beat near the end when I needed like hundreds of thousands of Naquada. So here's my IV spam. So this is my best ore processing here. Everything's just multi now. A lot of multi-centrifuging going on too. This is a custom block, multi-block for end air, because end doesn't exist in this pack. Here we've got, yeah, just end air going off. Distilling. What else? Here is my prep for fusion, and more pattern crafting here just for IV multis, arc furnace. This was my fusion prep. What's my hover button? Can't remember my hover button. But yeah, deuterium, Naquada, tritium. Yeah, just got notes here, nice signs. Tell me what's up. And here was my third clean room, specifically for multis. So I wanted a clean room here for like multi-crafting circuits and assembly line, and this was kind of mandatory. My clean rooms weren't big enough to hold this. And this is different from a sterile clean room as well, because the cases are very generic here. This was just making me, yeah, wetware circuit, like all circuits from steam to like top voltage. Let's show you a little bit around the outskirts of the building. So outside here, we're gonna get to the end soon. But I just wanted to show some of the crafting storage up here, if I can run towards it. Just to really ram it home, like how busted some of this. Okay, so here's all my crafting storage here, just stacked here. There are 1 million crafting storages. It's yeah, you can make these black ones here. These are just stupid. You can you can craft like an entire like tier worth of materials at a time with that. It's so unnecessary. But yeah, this is just a bit of access to the roof. I kind of just made this set here because I didn't know if I was going to build up here, but I ended up not building. That's a windmill. So here's more IV spam. It's starting to get a bit more simple now as we're getting towards the end. I needed less and less like stuff and just better systems implemented. This is just a map press for like all the different material types here. Extruding. Oh, I love the extruder. Oh my god, I spam so many input buses on this thing. I love this thing so much. The mega pattern providers, crazy. Here's my molecular assembly. So this is just crafting recipes. I haven't even used all of this. This is just crafting. In your table. Here's my hog quad engine stack. This is basically powering half of my IV machinery right now. It's kind of climbing steadily. We got remote create signals as well, so that explains why there's just a lack of redstone wire all over the place. I love these things. These are just encoded with 2 blocks. So the way this works is, if I can get my toolbox out, because I can remember this now. You have machine controller here, and then this thing connects to the substation, which has a advanced energy detector. So this means that any wireless signal is sent through create if we are underneath a certain if we're outside this threshold of energy. So that means if we're under 35% power, we turn on all our engines, and then when we're about to top off, we turn everything off. Pretty cool stuff. And I've been using that as a way to just basically connect generators to substations without tons of wiring. Amazing. This is my platline smelter. I needed a dedicated platline smelting system here. I'm quite proud of how I've got all these vac freezers set up too, in a cheaper tier of voltage, just to keep things parallelized. And this was where I was pushing the end game in terms of coils. Tritanium is a fusion coil craft, very expensive. Here we just have extra supplementary crafting, and this thing is fucking amazing, if you mind my language. This thing, it was only exists just for making I can't even remember what I'm making with this. I think it was for what is it doing right now? Yeah. Nequadria. And this thing takes ages to smelt, because when you get to the top tier of coil, well, these things start getting a bit slow. So you make one of these things, so all your end game smelting just gets parallelized like crazy. And I've parallelized this to like crazy. Like, I love parallel hatches. These parallel hatches let you control how many recipes you do at once. It's the whole reason why these IV multi-blocks exist. And this thing just, oh man, it cooks. This is the coolest multi-block I've ever made. Pretty big. And then here is a bulk blast chiller, just to keep up with the demand of the rotary furnace. This thing's also parallelized the same, and it's just cooling all the Nequadria. So let's look at some of the end game in GregTech. Let's start with our plasma. So in GregTech progression, power starts from steam, and then you go from steam to like benzene or diesel, something a bit more oily, and then you go from like diesel benzene to like their upgraded versions, and then you can go to gasoline and LPG, and you get the best oils in the game. There's no fission, unfortunately, in GCU, but you do get to start fusion after that. Fusion is a power source of energy, because we can basically, I'm trying to remember what fusion you make. I think it was I think we're burning plasma here, yeah. So I'm burning oxygen plasma, I think. There's like different types of plasmas. I think we're doing oxygen. The other plasmas were a bit too inconvenient. Yeah, we're doing helium plasma, that's it. So helium plasma is basically being brewed in one of those fusion reactors in the middle. And I made a ton of turbines. And the reason why I made all these turbines, and they made a neutronium, basically infinite durability. They just don't break. You can run these things for IRL days, and they'll barely dent. The reason why I want all these turbines is to produce enough amps in UV to overclock to UHV, and past UHV, I think you go UEV, UIV, yeah, it just keeps going. So you can see 4 UHV amps with this stack, and I've copied it on the other side. And the active transformers really saved my ass here, because like, you can see how thick this superconductor has to get to carry everything, and it's quite annoying. Even though we're producing LUV here. But LUV was the easiest, because it's the cheapest. in superconductor. So here are my reactors. This one, which I think, I'm trying to remember. Okay, this one's doing. I think this one's doing helium. I think both of the, yeah, I remember now. These first two are supposed to be doing helium. I think this one's just not on because I just don't have a demand for that much. Could be wrong. So yeah, these two reactors are making helium plasma. I think like one of them's just not on right now, and the other is doing. Oh no, this is doing helium plasma. Oh, okay. I think all these three reactors are doing helium plasma. I think I remember now. So I think I started with oxygen plasma for being cheaper. I think this is cheaper. Yeah, this was cheaper. Helium 3, yeah, this was cheaper. And then helium plasma. Yeah, got required basic, yeah, a lot of stuff. So this thing's just chugging away, just making me helium plasma. I think all of these were supposed to be making plasma. I think these are just off because they don't need to be on. Up here is my neutronium fusion, and it does keep going a bit because you need a fusion reactor for each of these components. So americium, darmstadtium, tritanium, and uranium. I think some of these are just made up, not gonna lie. Yeah, so each of these stack are producing one of these parts, and then neutronium is just breeding at the end. Fusion's cool. But I'll admit, fusion's not hard to set up once you actually can afford it, because like you only need one of these energy hatches actually plugged in, and then like all the others just don't need plugging in. You can run fusion power on like 1 amp. It's kind of sad, and it doesn't really overclock. Yeah, it's a bit funny like that. So here's my research. The research is quite an interesting mechanic. It doesn't last very long in GTCU, but in GTNH, it gets interesting. But to my knowledge, essentially, what this means is that you like put a module, you put an item, and then you basically upgrade this into a better recipe version in the module. And you require computation power, and these arrays just provide that. And these are kind of just servers, just, you know, it's like a Bitcoin miner, just think of it like that. And they'll need coolant. And yeah, if these things burn out, you've got to replace the blocks. And then you've got a data bank. And data banks are nice because it means you don't need to carry data sticks and data orbs anymore. You can just register everything inside of the bank. And the network switch is the bridge between your data bank and your research. I don't remember all the mechanics there, but I think I got that right. And then finally here you have your assembly line here for just making all the research parts. Cool stuff. I'm running out of voice, so I kind of want to cut this short. So finally, guys, like, it's all led up to this moment. All of this grinding, and the transformer here is going to be feeding all this centralized power. I think, wow, look how much EU here. It's crazy, right? But this is the 64-bit integer limit in Minecraft, by the way. This is like quadrillions of EU. And we're producing like 16 million EU with all that turbine span. And look how many years it takes to fill this battery. Like, it takes years IRL to fill the battery. And I kind of realize at this point this mod pack just is going to be too grindy to fill an ultimate battery. And the ultimate battery is just sitting in one out of every substation battery block possible, man. Like, this UHV battery looks like this, right? And this is basically the end game of Greg Tech. Like, if you make this thing, you kind of beat the mod pack technically, but there's one more objective: make the NAND certificate. The NAN certificate wants 128 blocks of neutronium. I wonder if I can make that now. I actually could. I could grab another NAN certificate right now if I wanted to. But yeah, this thing needs tons of neutronium, and you need to give this thing like tons of like amps. I put in here, yeah, I think I overclocked to UIV. Is it making another one? I think it is. That's kind of funny. So I don't know how long that is, but I remember last time I crafted this, I needed 2 real-life days of leaving this game open. So because of this craft, I had to make this into a server so that I couldn't, so I didn't have to run my game all day. So I made this into a server. I made the server myself. And I let this thing just craft for 48 hours. And I guess if I just leave the server on now, after this recording, I'll get another NAN certificate. It's very... it's adorable. And this is all neutronium as well. It doesn't look very interesting, right? It's just a dark iron block. And that's where the journey ends. Let's see if I can find the miner for us before I end the video, because I really want to show you what this thing can do. And this is sort of my network analyzer. So like, I've seen YouTubers complain about AE2 and channel bloat, but look how organized this is. Like, I don't think channels are too bad in this mod. I think channels get really unbearable when you don't keep tabs on them. And it's a bit of a marathon as well. It's a bit of a marathon. It's pretty dark. Why can't I see? Oh, my night vision's off. Can't remember where this is. I don't remember where this is. Here we go. Inventory. Oh, it was M. Alright, so let's see if we can find that miner that we talked about and see if I can get it to pack itself up. It's really cool. Like, this is the most... I'm so proud of this, man. Like, I really want to show this. I don't have my journey map data, so I'm going to have to, like... I mean, where's my waypoints? Waypoint screen, button files. Yeah, I haven't really got my waypoints, so I'm gonna have to just fly around and see if I can find my miner. I mean, it could be really bad. Like, it could be like, look how far some of these chunk-loaded claims are. Let's just do a little bit of a look. And while I'm looking around, I'll just explain to you how terrain works. I'm going to start with the furthest waypoint, maybe. Alright. Quantum suit's sick. Look how far I can go. I'm going to probably go for 16... 3,800. Let's go this way. So, in Terrafirma Craft, the terrain is very different. We're in a temperate climate, and if you go to the north of the world, your climate starts to change. So going this way for enough blocks would take you to an Antarctic climate, and survival gameplay kind of changes because your crop rotation has to change. The animals you can hunt will change, and staying warm also gets difficult. You can see here, like, my temperature. I'm 4 degrees right now, so technically I'm going to get cold and freeze to death if I'm not careful. So I can't really mess around too much. I haven't got a way to warm up normally. I don't know how to hover as a way of doing it. And of course, going higher up in altitude will make you colder quicker. That goes without saying. These chunks are getting reloaded, so see if I got the hover. Oh, it's H. There we go. Oh, so much better. Okay. I believe I put my last miner over here for an Aquada. No, I guess not. Alright. Okay. Let's try the others. So if you go further down south, there's a progression milestone in the primitive age where you kind of need to go find cowling clay. Like, you can't use normal vanilla clay to make your Terrafirma Craft blast furnace. And the Terrafirma Craft blast furnace, it stands in between you and the blast furnace in... Well, there's no primitive blast furnace, so the Greg Tech has its own blast furnace, but it got removed, so you've got to make the primitive, like the other primitive one. And that requires cowling clay, and cowling clay is only in the jungle biomes. So what happened here during my playthrough was that I had to, you know, go down a notch in the world, and if I died, I would lose all of my inventory, and it was pretty scary. Like, I got on a canoe, I had to build like a really cool ship to sail through with the Thermalife mod. I might be able to find my ship as well. We'll see. Ah, is it here? Wait, that might be it. Oh no, this is one of my other ones. No, that's not it. I'm also impressed I managed to get this world back. I really thought it was gone. I just had my screenshots. But this is cool. Nope, not here. I remember this. This was a chromium vein, I think. I remember like getting lost trying to find my miners before. It was really bad. Not that it matters anymore now. Like, if I can't show you this, I've got a separate recording of this working. But I just want to like keep yapping while I'm looking around. So getting the cowling clay, yeah, was probably the hardest challenge of primitive survival in Terrafirma Greg. Not much better, no snow. So the biomes also changed quite a lot. I think these are rolling hills. The mountain biomes are pretty sick as well. Like, they get really tall and really annoying to navigate. And those are volcanoes. I need to make sure these are discharging too. Yeah, they are. Okay, I notice when I'm flying really fast, I do drain quite a bit of energy, so I've got to be mindful of that. If I run out of energy, I'll just go creative mode. Okay, it's not here. I might never find it, lads. I'm so sad. Oh yeah, and regenerating health is also not a thing in Terrafirma Greg, so if you want your health back, you have to sleep, or you have to sit in spring water. Spring water is like a hot spring that generates naturally. And of course you couldn't move the hot spring water unless you had a iron bucket. So yeah, there's a bit of an element to just not taking damage. Like, you really didn't want to take damage. This was like most of my spawn, just marble everywhere. I remember getting a headache trying to like figure out the prospecting system without a prospector. Like, because when you had to prospect veins in Terrafirma Greg, you had to use a prospector pickaxe which is a lot different than prospecting with a scanner. Like most of the mods with GregTech, like most of the mod packs with GregTech, they give you these things for free. Here it is, boys. Oh my goodness, look at this thing. So let's see if we can pack this thing up. I'm actually excited. Can't wait to show you this. So this thing's done mining. I'm gonna just gonna break this, just so this doesn't go wrong, because this thing wasn't like perfect. Like there are bugs with some of the ambient environment when deconstructing this. So this multi-miner shares an AE connection of amperage. So this means I didn't need to bring like a drum of like high octane gasoline in this thing. So this thing is just refueled and re-energized from base. So what happens here is I type, okay, it doesn't work like that. Protocol and pack. Here we go. Look at this thing go. Look at this. Holy moly. I hope it doesn't break. Okay. I'm getting a little anxious. So what this thing is programmed to do is that it takes the storage cell away from this. So what this turtle is programmed to do is it can actually put the cell in and press the port, and then the quantum gate materializes the entire miner. And while it does this, it also builds the pylon and deconstructs the pylon. So what should be happening right now is it's just going to dig this whole thing slowly. My tick rate isn't particularly great. Can't see my tick rate. I hate this F3 screens. It's garbage. Like I will admit this mod has a lot of lagging ticks going on. This mod pack was really unstable. I would say compared to most mod packs in GT. Like I'm really not a fan of it. It's really like I've had so many backups loaded. I've had like chunks get corrupted when the server shut down, like prematurely. Like sometimes the server would crash, and what would happen when a server crashes is that the chunks don't get unloaded properly. So what happens is you cause chunks to get pruned, and pruning chunks means like you reset the chunk to what it looked like in the world seed, and that meant that you almost couldn't like, you know, like you just lose progress. And one time, like one of my buildings got completely wrecked. I think that was a water tower that I didn't show you behind the shed in the compound, and that's just producing like distilled water. It's just an aesthetic, but that thing got completely corrupted. And when you have like a large chunk of machinery get corrupted in GregTech, you just want to pull your hair out. Like I swear. I remember like getting very, very emotional, DMing friends about it on the Discord, and you know, I want to say like I definitely couldn't have beaten this mod pack without the Terrafirma Greg Discord helping me the whole way. They like I started this mod pack knowing nothing about GregTech. I knew nothing about AE2, I knew nothing about Terrafirma Craft, and I knew nothing about computer craft. And like here I am making a robot that just teleports miners and automatically gathers ore for me, and I'm just so proud of it. It's amazing. I'm genuinely happy with what I've accomplished here, and I'm just happy I've got this thing back, this world alive again and running. And maybe I'll play this mod pack again. Like, you know, just a bit of a heart to heart. Like, I've kind of stopped streaming lately on Twitch, and like mainly because mainly I stopped streaming on Twitch because I kind of lost a lot of motivation with my home internet connection for like years, and you know, one day like I kind of just want to like stream me playing games again. I kind of miss it. So maybe I'll do GTNH one day for realsies. I might want to ask some friends if they want to play this with me. like as of now of recording, I'm playing War Factory at the moment. I've just been playing for 7 days, and I've decided to take a break on day 8. And you know, hopefully a video gets posted of all the nonsense going on over there. But it was my first time playing in a like Greg Tech community event, and I'm hoping you know, I've got some new exciting things coming up with that. So this thing's almost done. It's a little bit slow, I admit. This thing is pre-programmed to just follow a set routine. Like you can see here, like it's just going in a square like motion. And to be honest, I would optimize this, but because of the way turtles get like there is a problem with the turtle. Sometimes the turtle completely breaks if a block falls on top of it. So a good example of that is if I built this miner close to the ground and it decided to dig some dirt like below another block of dirt, what would happen is the dirt would collapse onto the turtle from above and cause a little landslide, and then the turtle completely just breaks and just turns into a floating item on the ground. And the whole point of this program is that you can just like click and type pack like while I'm in base. So I can tell while I'm in the base, like, oh, the turtle's done mining. Like it's completely done mining. So I'll just type pack and then come back in 2 minutes. So right now it's done, and it should just go down to the bottom. There we go. Hey, good job, Gregbot. So now that it's done, I dig it like that, and I've got the miner here. So let's go fly back to the base and just show you kind of like, I guess, you know, how that's supposed to work. I won't show you this thing building up all over again, but you kind of get the idea. It kind of mined ore from afar. So if I go here and I put this in here, comes here. So this is how like I designed the miner, and then if I want it packed away, let's pack it away. Okay, it's not packing. Well, not quite sure why. I think there's something wrong with the pylon here. Yeah, there's channels missing. Well, just when I said I have no channel problems playing this mod pack, I've got channel problems. Let's have a look. Network tool. I think what's happening is some of these cables are just connecting, but yeah, they're not supposed to completely join, I think. Alright, no matter. I'm not really keen on wasting more time. But this is my base, guys. Yeah, normally this thing would pack up again, and you just put it back in the Gregbot, and you send him on another mission. And I could have went further with this, but there was a lot of problems with chunk loading. So I wanted Gregbot to be able to roam the map every time I found coordinates for like an Aquata vein, like here for example. Like I would want Gregbot to go over here, build the miner, and just pack up and then go to the next place. I could have kept going with this project, but I kind of stopped because I realized you can't chunk load without me just clicking here and just saying like, well, I don't think I can do it here anymore, but like I would say chunk load this, and then it would start chunk loading. So I couldn't really like expand the project any further unless I started adding extra mods. And computer craft and not open computers are two different mods. In open computers, I think there's a solution for that, because you can have chunk loaded turtles. They're not here, right? But yeah, turtles are pretty dumb in CC. So you kind of just have to be near the turtle. So I would just place the turtle, fill it with stuff, and then I would just force load the chunk, and then just type mine, and it would just start building in the 4 soda chunk and then just fly away. It's kind of normally how I do it, and it was still pretty efficient. I mean, it just saves me just building the miner over and over again. But it sucks that I can't really pack this up for you again. I mean, I'm gonna fix this while I'm off camera because I just want to know how this went wrong. But thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, catch you later.